Hey guys, Michael here from michaelsherlock.com. In this video I want to talk to you about the Google Nexus One. Today's January 5th, 2010, and at a special press conference, Google unveiled their first Android device that they're selling themselves. So we've seen the HTC G1 for T-Mobile and the HTC Hero that are Android devices, but the Google Nexus One is sold by Google, even though it's made by HTC. So it's not much different, but Google's aim was to create an open device and to make one available for everybody while also, having it high quality. So the Nexus One, it's 119 millimeters high by 59.8 millimeters wide by 11.5 millimeters deep. So that's actually skinnier than a standard pencil. It weighs only 130 grams with a battery, but one of my favorite things about the design of the phone is the back of the device includes a teflon coating and can be customized with up to 2 lines of text. Why is that so nice? I am so glad that this phone will not require cases. You don't have to worry about it scratching. The back is teflon coated, so you're not going to have to worry about cosmetic or aesthetic damage that you would have to worry about with other smartphones. And that's a huge thing that I love about this device. I think all phones should have similar coatings, and I hate the need for cases. Some people love cases, and people will still be able to buy cases for this Nexus One, but being required to have one if you want to keep your phone in good condition is ridiculous. And all that glossy finish and all that is junk. The Teflon coating is the way to go, so nice job with Google for that one. Pricing, this is going to be sold unlocked for $529, which isn't too bad for an unlocked device if you compare it to similar devices on the market, or $179 on T-Mobile with a new 2-year contract, so a new customer or a qualifying upgrade. But what's really interesting is this will actually be coming to Verizon Wireless and Vodafone in spring 2010. Now, what makes me kind of wonder about Verizon Wireless, which speculation says it's going to be around $200, is Verizon Wireless is CDMA. So Google's going to have to make put an entirely new radio and chip into the Nexus One to support Verizon Wireless. So Verizon Wireless obviously wants to get some new high-quality smartphones on the market for sale in 2010, and I'm sure they paid Google a substantial amount of money to be able to release a Verizon Wireless only version of the device. But we don't have a lot of details about that, more probably coming towards the springtime. The display, this is a touchscreen device, 3.7-inch widescreen WVGA AMOLED touchscreen, so it's really high quality, 800 by 400 pixel resolution, so I'm pretty sure that's about double the iPhone resolution, so it's a nice screen with a 100,000 to 1 contrast ratio and haptic feedback, so when you're typing, you'll be able to get some feedback on what you've actually clicked. Now, the screen itself supports multi-touch, but currently the software doesn't, so you won't be able to open up, the photo gallery application, for instance, and use multi-touch to adjust the pictures. Now, we could see a software update, but right now we don't have a lot of information on multi-touch, but that could come down the road. The camera on this device is a 5 megapixel camera with autofocus, and it includes an LED flash, which is pretty nice. 2x digital zoom, although I'm not the biggest fan of digital zoom, but you have that option if you want to. And video capture, again, is supported on this at 720 by 480 pixels at 20 frames per second. Now, what's really nice about this device is its power. It has a Qualcomm QSD 8250, which is that Snapdragon 1 GHz processor. So you're going to be able to multitask and really take advantage of everything Android has to offer with this great power. It also includes 512 megabytes of flash memory and 512 megabytes of RAM. So you'll again have a lot of power and flexibility in terms of multitasking. With a 4 GHz micro SD card for storage, but that can be expandable up to 32 gigabytes if you want to. Now, what's kind of disappointing is the 3G band it supports. It only supports T-Mobile at HSDPA 7.2 megabits per second speed with HSUPA for upload 2 megabits per second speed. But what's really nice is, even though T-Mobile's 3G network has a small footprint, T-Mobile just announced that their entire network was fully upgraded to that 7.2 megabit per second speed. So if you're in an area with T-Mobile 3G and you get the Nexus One, you'll be able to take advantage of that full speed and some pretty fast 3G browsing, which, depending on where you live, could come close, not exactly the same, but could come close to the browsing speeds that you actually get at your house. It supports 802.11bgNN, which is nice to see, and has Bluetooth 2.1 EDR with A2DP stereo Bluetooth support. So you really get all the connections and all the interfaces that you need with 802.11n Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything you need. But what's powering this device? 1400 milliamp hour battery. On 3G, that's supposed to last 7 hours of talk, 5 hours of internet browsing, and 250 hours of standby. So it's pretty standard for a smartphone powerhouse, although it's not as great as some of the Nokia smartphones that I've seen, because Nokia does a great job with their battery life. It also has a GPS, so it has a GPS chip in there, but it also can triangulate cell towers to get you a quicker fix. It has a digital compass and accelerometer, both which are on par with Apple's iPhone 3GS, which will be a direct competitor to the Nexus One. Another nice feature that isn't going to see, the big bubbles on the front page to advertise, but it's something that's really cool, is it has two mics. So when you're using the speakerphone, it actually has a noise cancellation feature. We saw that with the HTC Touch Pro 2, which I reviewed in the past, and I really think it does a great job. Hardware is great, and we've seen a lot of good hardware this year, or in last year, but what about the software? You need something good to run this power. It actually is one of the first phones on the market to support Android 2.1 Eclair. So with that, you get everything we saw in Donut, everything we saw in the Droid with 2.0, with some new features such as the new 3D photo gallery. So photos you can zoom out when you tap on an album, and these pictures load on a 3D plane when you move the phone around. And what's also nice is the galleries are synced in the background to Picasa, Google's photo engine, or online photo storage thing. So if you use Picasa, everything will be synced back and forth over either Wi-Fi or 3G bands. It also supports 5 home screens. Something I thought was cool is voicemails can be transcribed, so it can be written out into text. So if you just want to read it, let's say you're in a quiet environment at the library, you get a voicemail, and you want to just quickly see what it was, and if it's important, after you read it, you can call them back if you need to. What's also cool about voice is all text fields are voice enabled. So anytime there's a text field, you could speak to your phone and it'll actually transcribe that to text and do your Google search, type your email, whatever you want. And I think that's really cool. I haven't seen a lot of that on mobile platforms recently. And I think that's really nice to be able, since these are cell phones already, so they already have the microphone support, it's nice to be able just to talk and say, instead of typing up a whole email, if you want to type something up quick, you can just speak into your phone. And since this doesn't have a physical QWERTY board, just a software-based one, if you're not the biggest fan of it, you can just speak and you're good to go. So that will increase productivity dramatically when you're in a quiet space. Another nice thing is all apps can be installed to the SD card, so you're not limited by the internal memory of the phone. Previous Android versions required the internal phone memory to be used for app storage singularly, and that was kind of a problem, but this is a nice improvement in 2.1 Eclair. And the last thing is a refreshed app launcher, among other features of 2.1. It's just nice to see a more graphic interface bump, I suppose you could say, just to make launching and looking at all of your apps that much nicer. So this is the Google Nexus One first look. For more information on it, go to google.com/phone. I'm Michael Sherlock from michaelsherlock.com. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the new smartphone comparisons, and have a nice day.